My beloved child, keep your heart still tonight, for the miracle you have been praying for, the very thing your soul has long awaited, will no longer remain a distant dream. Something extraordinary is quietly being prepared to unfold, not by the strength or cleverness of man, but by my own mighty hand. I am the Lord Jehovah, the Most High God, the one who does not change through the passage of time. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning of all things and the end of all things. Nothing happens outside of my will, and no force is powerful enough to hinder the fulfillment of the plans I have made for you. O my child, you will witness my divine intervention, not through loud spectacle or dazzling signs, but through the unfathomable power and boundless mercy of your God. I am the one who fashioned the stars, and I am also the one who counts every silent tear you've shed. I know each prayer you've whispered in the darkness, every time you clung to hope with a heart that felt shattered. And now, I will answer not because you have earned it, but because I am faithful. I have promised, and I do not break my promises. I have spoken, and no one can prevent what I have declared from coming to pass. My word is life. When I speak, the world is formed. When I command, things that have never existed are called into being. When I summon, everything in heaven and on earth trembles. Mountains cannot remain standing before my voice. The seas must yield, the heavens must bow. I am not confined by the laws of nature, nor the limits of human understanding. I am not swayed by time or circumstance. When I will something to be, it shall be, for I am the sovereign Almighty, Lord over all things, the source of every miracle. Tonight, you will no longer doubt. You yourself will become a living witness to the presence of the Eternal One. You will see my hand move unmistakably, and what once seemed impossible, doors you thought were permanently shut, will suddenly swing open. No human logic will be able to explain it. No one will be able to claim the credit, because what I am about to do is not for the glorification of man, but to reveal the greatness of the one in whom you trust. My dear one, do not let the delay discourage you. Do not let the long days of waiting deceive you into thinking that I am silent. I have never forgotten. Not a single prayer has slipped past my notice. Not one tear has been overlooked. What you thought was delay has truly been preparation. I have been preparing your heart. I have been clearing away what needed to be removed. And now, as the appointed time arrives, nothing will be able to hinder it. When I say now, all of heaven and earth must come into alignment. I declare the end from the beginning. I saw your victory even as you struggled through failure. I called you by name before the world ever knew who you were. I wrote your journey long before time began, not in ink that fades, but in a word that never changes. What I have ordained does not require the approval of men. I will fulfill it, whether others understand or not, whether they believe or not. I am the one who holds all things in my hand, and once I have begun, no one can make me stop. When all lights are dimmed, when the night blankets the world, that is the very moment when the heavens begin to open like a hidden gateway between the divine and the earthly. The prayers you lifted with sincere heart, the tears that fell silently onto your pillow, the cries uttered in solitude that you thought no one heard, they have all reached my heart. And now, you will witness the miraculous, not because you deserve it, but because I am the faithful one, the compassionate Father, the God who never fails to keep his word. Tonight, the invisible chains that once tightened around your soul, the bindings that seemed impossible to break, shall be shattered by my very hand of power. I am not merely the one who sees your shackles, I am the one who breaks them. There is no yoke too heavy that I cannot remove, no captivity so deep that I cannot deliver you from it. The burdens you've carried were never placed upon you by me. They are the weight of struggles you've tried to bear alone. But from this moment on, let me carry them for you. Let your shoulders be freed, and your heart find rest. For I have declared, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." How many nights have you hidden your exhaustion behind a faint smile? How many days have you walked with a heavy heart while still trying to stand tall before others? But I do not look at outward appearances. I see into the depths of your heart. I see the silent battles you have fought, the wounds you dare not speak of, the whispered cries of frustration in the darkness. And today, I come not only to comfort you with a promise, but to lift you up with an irresistible power. I do not come merely to soothe, I come to act. I do not stand idly by while you suffer, and I do not stay silent when you cry out to me. Fear, that terrifying companion that has haunted you for so long, will no longer hold power over you. You have trembled at what might come, suffocated by the weight of worst-case scenarios that played out in your mind. But tonight, my presence will drive out that darkness. For I am the God of perfect love, and where perfect love dwells, fear has no place. I will breathe my spirit into your heart, and peace will flow like a river, calming every storm within. You will no longer live in caution, nor be caught in the tug-of-war between faith and anxiety. I will place within you a new trust, solid as the mountains, anchored like deep roots that cling firmly to the earth. What once seemed impossible to you, the doors that were closed, the dreams you buried, the desires you believed had died, must now bow before my name. For I am the Lord God, unbound by circumstance, unrestricted by human logic. I am the one who can create everything out of nothing, the one who makes the desert bloom and turns graves into places of resurrection. There is nothing too late for me to restore, nothing too tangled for me to unravel. You once believed it would never happen. But I say to you, it is precisely when you stop hoping in human ways that I begin moving in the ways of heaven. My child, do not limit me by your own limitations. Do not assume that I can only move when things seem favorable. I do not wait for the storm to pass. I am the one who stills the storm. I do not need the doors to be open. I am the one who opens and no one can shut. And if anyone dares to rise up against what I desire to accomplish in your life, they will witness my authority, not to destroy them, but so that they may know I am the one true God, living and acting with justice and abundant mercy. Tonight, as you lie down to rest, let your heart be still. Do not carry your worries into your sleep. Let go of every burden and let me bear them for you. Lift your eyes, for your deliverance is nearer than ever. Open your heart wide, for a miracle is approaching. You will no longer beg from a place of despair, but will stand in faith and praise, like one who knows with certainty that what is good is not a fleeting illusion, but a reality that is about to manifest in your life. My beloved child, I have seen how many times your heart has trembled in the face of trials, when what stood before you seemed far beyond what a human soul could endure. I have watched you look up at the mountain ahead with eyes filled with hesitation, a heart burdened by worry, and a voice within you whispering, "How could I ever get through this?" I heard your silent sighs when the winds howled and the storms of life closed in from every side, making you feel as though one more wave might sweep you away entirely. I know well the moments you stood at the crossroads, when whispers from the shadows crept into your thoughts, telling you, It's over. There's nothing left ahead. You've come to the end. This is the final chapter, and there is no miracle waiting at the close. But I, the living one who does not change, the one who created the heavens and the earth, the one who knows every day of your life before even one of them came to be, I declare to you, it is not over. Do not believe the voice of the enemy who whispers in the night. He does not hold the pen. He does not get to decide your fate. He is not the author of your story, and he most certainly cannot write your final chapter. I alone am the author of your life. I alone determine how your story will end. When you believe the mountain is too high, that is the very moment I prepare to lift you with my mighty hand. When the storm roars around you, remember, I am the one who commands the winds, who speaks to the seas and tells them to be still. No tempest can remain when I say, peace, be still. And when you stand in the rubble, when all seems to have collapsed around you, listen carefully. What you're hearing is not the sound of the end, but the divine rumbling that makes way for a brand new beginning. I do not write your story in ink smudged by your tears, but in the blood of the one who loved you unto death. Every page of your journey is soaked in love, patience, and grace. I am not a God who abandons stories halfway through. I complete what I begin. And I did not begin a good work in you only to leave you in the middle. Every time you fall, that is not the ending. It's the place where I step in and lift you back up. When it seems like everything is collapsing, I am quietly building something unseen, something more lasting, more beautiful, more glorious than anything you have ever known. My child, I know you are weary. I see how many times you've wanted to stop, to let go, thinking there's no purpose left to keep going. But I urge you with all the tenderness of a father, do not stop here, not when you've only just stepped into a difficult chapter. A chapter of sorrow does not define the entire story. A season of tears is not the measure of your whole life. Let me keep writing. Hand me the pen you've wrestled with in your fight against circumstances. Let me be the one to draw the road ahead, even if it looks different from what you imagined. You may have once envisioned an easy path, a happily ever after with no pain. But you need not fear the rocky places, for it is there you learn to trust me, not because of your surroundings, but because of who I am. You will learn to lean not on your understanding, but wholly on my faithfulness. You are being refined like gold in fire, and not one of your tears has been wasted. So when you hear the whisper, "This is the end," let your soul answer back, "No." This is just the prelude to something glorious. When you are tempted to believe you'll never rise again, remember, I am the one who raised the dead to life, gave sight to the blind, and forgave the worst of sinners. I do not merely write the story of your life. I am the miracle within it. My child, do not judge the ending from the middle of the journey. A painting cannot be fully understood by looking at only one corner. A song cannot be measured by a single note. And your life, a grand symphony I am composing, cannot be defined by one shadowed chapter. Do not place a period where I am still writing. Do not close the door that I am about to open. Do not retreat when glory is only one step away. Rise up. Hold fast to your faith. Let your heart be saturated with my word, not with the whispers of the dark. I am not finished with you. My plans for you have not ended, and I will fulfill all that I have begun in you, not in your timing, but in the perfect moment I have already ordained. When you offer me your brokenness, I will exchange it for wholeness. When you lay before me your losses, I will turn them into fullness. When you surrender to me your dead dreams, I will breathe new life into them. And when you dare to follow me once more, even with faith as small as a mustard seed, you will witness mountains move, seas part, and miracles bloom in the desert wastelands. You will see me, your author and redeemer, step into the very chapter you thought was your ending, only to begin something new, a beginning of restoration, of life, and of a destiny far beyond what you ever imagined. My beloved, in the stillness of this night, there are things unfolding in the heavenly realm that your eyes cannot yet see, but your spirit will begin to perceive. Supernatural movements are quietly taking place, not because of any force on earth, but because I, the Most High, the one who holds all time in my hands, am moving on your behalf. Even now, this very night, I am shaking heaven in response to your earnest prayer. You have wept in silence, in rooms where no one saw. You have cried out in solitude, unknown to others. But I, your Father, who hears even your trembling breath, I have heard, and I am acting. Tonight I am dispatching my angels, my mighty, radiant messengers, faithful warriors of the kingdom of heaven, into the very pathways of your life. They do not go empty-handed. They carry my protection, my provision, and my divine commission. They are sent to fight for you where you cannot fight, to tear down the invisible strongholds encircling your life. The spiritual battles that once left you feeling powerless will be carried by these heavenly hosts, and no force can stand when I issue my command. My child, your circumstances are not beyond my control. The chaos you once perceived, the seemingly random events, all are being reordered by me, like pieces of a grand design I have been painting for you in quiet faithfulness. Do not let your eyes deceive you. Do not think I am silent just because you see no visible signs. The truth is, I am orchestrating, shifting, and clearing the way in places you never expected. I am aligning divine connections, people, circumstances, and new doors, to bring you into the exact position within the sacred plan I set for you from the very beginning. That which has been hidden under the dust of time, beneath the lies, behind the veil of clever disguises, will be brought into the light by me. I am the one who sees all. Nothing escapes my sight. I will unveil it. Truth will be revealed. And the things you need to know to walk in freedom and clarity, I will show you at the appointed time. No more walking in confusion. No more living in uncertainty. My light will shine into the dark corners of your mind and your circumstances, and all that has been concealed will be exposed. And my child, what was once held back, the promises you prayed for but have not yet seen fulfilled, the dreams that seemed frozen in time, the blessings delayed by divine timing, all of these are now beginning to be released. The veil of hindrance is being lifted. The flow from heaven is opening. That which was stagnant will begin to move, not because you have done everything perfectly, but because the time has come for me to pour out what I have long prepared. For I have declared this moment to be the appointed time. The delay you once mistook for denial was in truth preparation. Just like a seed must remain hidden beneath the soil before it can break through the surface, what you thought was silence was actually a season of divine germination in the dark. But now, my child, a season of increase is upon you. I am breathing fresh wind into your life, winds of acceleration, winds of divine momentum. What once stood still will begin to move. What you believed was too late will arrive right on time, in the way I have ordained. No power can delay what I have established. No human hand can block what I have opened. And what you thought was lost I will restore, not merely return, but restore in abundance, multiplied beyond what you once held. Broken relationships, missed opportunities, even the years you thought were wasted. I hold the power to turn it all into building blocks for a radiant present and a hopeful future. Do not mourn what you believe has passed, for I am preparing something far greater in its place. I never take without the intent to give something more precious. And when I restore, I do not simply mend the broken parts. I make all things new. Tonight heaven is moving, not because of some great external force, but because I love you, because I have chosen you, because I see you as worthy of rescue, worthy of freedom, and worthy of living fully within your divine destiny. Though you have doubted yourself, though you've questioned your worth, my view of you has never changed. To me you are always my beloved, the precious gem in my hand, the creation into whom I have poured my very heart. So lift your head, even if your eyes are still filled with tears. Stand tall, even if your legs are still trembling. For now, you no longer walk alone. I am going before you. My angels are walking beside you, and all of heaven's power is moving in your favor. The enemy thought it had won, but it does not realize that you are in a divine reversal. A new chapter is unfolding. A new season is breaking open. And you, yes you, will step into it with open hands and a heart ablaze. Tonight, lie down and rest, not in worry, not in fear. Let your soul be still like a field beneath a starlit sky. For it is in this sacred stillness that I am moving most powerfully. Sleep with the confidence that when you rise, everything will not be the same. The supernatural has already begun. A new door has cracked open, and your story, the story I am writing, has entered its most radiant chapter yet. You are the reason heaven is moving tonight. You are the echo that has summoned angels into motion. You are the one appointed to witness my divine intervention. Be ready, receive it, for the miracle has begun, and I will not stop until every word I have spoken over you is fulfilled, in fullness and in glory. My beloved child, quiet your soul in this sacred moment, for something profoundly divine is unfolding in the spiritual realm, something your heart must open wide to perceive. Every word that proceeds from my mouth, each one without exception, never falls into the void, never returns in vain. My word is unchanging, eternal, and majestic, just like my very presence. It is established in the heavens like an everlasting flame, one that cannot be extinguished by time, circumstances, or any force beneath the earth. Since eternity, my word has been set in motion, before you were ever born, before the universe took shape, and now, even in this very moment when your heart is weary and your breath heavy with sighs, my word is at work. It is no longer a distant promise, but a reality beginning to unfold. Do not think that you must wait any longer. Do not assume that miracles only arrive when the sky breaks open with brilliance. No, even now, in the thickest darkness, my word is being fulfilled. My grace does not wait for ideal conditions to reveal itself. It comes precisely when you need it most, when everything else falls silent. Picture this, a table prepared for you, not in a place of peace, but in the midst of battle, in the presence of those who once sought to harm you, who maligned your name, who tried to drown you in the mire of despair. It is there that I, your Father, the King of Kings, lay out a feast before you, not merely to satisfy your hunger, but to honor you amid adversity. This is where I restore your dignity. This is where I anoint your head with oil, saturating you with my unending goodness and mercy. Your enemies will watch, powerless to act. They will see me lift you from the deepest pit, the very place they believed you would never rise from. They rejoiced when they saw you fall. They were smug when you were alone and overwhelmed. But they did not know that I was there all along, watching over every step, counting every tear, preparing this very day, the day of divine reversal, the day when my own hand will pull you out from failure, wipe the filth from your garments, and place you upon a firm foundation that no force can shake. I am your unshakable fortress, your refuge in the storm. When all else crumbles around you, I remain strong, faithful, and immovable. I am the one who stands between you and the wrath of the enemy. When their arrows fly, I am your shield. When their schemes are laid, I am the one who shatters them. I will not let the wicked laugh over your pain. What they sow, they will reap. The traps they set will ensnare their own feet, for I am your defender, and no one can prevail against one who walks with me as their companion. The tongues that once spoke against you, those who twisted truths, hurled accusations, and spread falsehoods, will be silenced. Not because you defend yourself, but because I am the righteous judge. I will speak on your behalf. I will make the truth known. You will not have to argue nor explain, for I myself will vindicate you with the power of my truth. Let those who once mocked you witness the glory I pour upon your life. Let those who abandoned you in your weakness see you walk in supernatural restoration, not by your own strength, but by the steadfast grace I alone can give. Every weapon the enemy forged against you, be it through actions, words, circumstances, or even the fear in your own mind, will fail. Though they may be crafted, when they meet my protection, they will be broken. The plans of the wicked may be formed, but without my permission they cannot proceed. What I do not allow to touch you will never breach the invisible yet mighty shield I have placed around you. I cover you with my presence, with a love stronger than death, with a light that pierces the darkest night. And every tongue that once rose to accuse you, to condemn you, shall be broken. No verdict pronounced by man can stand when I, the Most High, declare you forgiven, chosen, and deeply loved. You don't have to prove anything. I have already called you righteous in my sight, and that truth surpasses all condemnation. It rises above every judgment. It silences every cruel word ever spoken to diminish the worth I placed within you. Do not continue living in the shadow of your past. Do not carry the fear of being judged as a chain that binds your soul. Let it go. Trust in me. For when I declare you free, no one, no person, no spirit, no sin can hold you captive any longer. You are no longer a victim. You are a victor, not because of your great accomplishments, but because you chose to believe in the one who is greatest of all. Now walk forward with a new boldness. Lift your head high. Live as one who knows they are loved, protected, and provided for. Live as one who carries the presence of the King of Glory within. You are not walking alone. Before you I go to lead. Behind you I stand to guard. Beside you I uphold you. And within you my spirit lives and breathes. I have spoken, and I will bring it to pass. My word cannot be revoked. It is already at work. It is making a way. It is reviving what you once thought was dead. It is restoring the parts of your life you buried in silence. And it is drawing you ever closer to the divine destiny I designed for you since the beginning of time. My child, believe this: what I have begun I will surely complete. Not a single word from my mouth will be forgotten. Each one will come to pass, fully, gloriously, and beyond all you have ever asked or imagined. For I am the Lord your God, Jehovah, the one who never breaks a promise, and you, beloved one, are the living testimony of my faithfulness upon this earth. What I am doing for you is not only an answer to your prayers, but a living witness of my unchanging love for you, a love that is not limited by circumstances, not shaken by time, and never withdrawn in your weakness. I have heard your silent groans. I have seen you crumble under burdens that seemed impossible to bear. And now I rise on your behalf. No one can stop what I have set in motion. No power can oppose the good plans I have for you. You once laid there in the shadows of physical pain, as each wave of agony reminded you how fragile life can be. You wrestled through exhaustion, through endless treatments, through the haze of not knowing what tomorrow might hold. But I, Jehovah Rapha, your healer, have heard you. I did not turn away from your suffering, nor did I ignore the tears that soaked your pillow. I placed my healing hand upon your body. I am doing what medicine cannot do, what doctors can only support in part. It is I who am dissolving the pain, softening what was hardened, and restoring what had once been damaged. My breath is flowing into every living cell within you, knitting together what was broken, renewing what was decaying, and reviving what was worn thin. And I am not only healing your body, I am restoring your weary soul. I am lifting you out from the depths of despair, doubt, and fatigue. You are no longer defined by the words of doctors, by human opinion, or by fear. You are defined by me, the one who calls you healed, the one who calls you free, the one who declares you reborn. Likewise, the debt that once weighed upon your life like a heavy burden of stone, making each day feel steeped in anxiety and each night restless with unease, I have seen it all. I saw you counting every coin, worrying over every payment due, carrying shame and sorrow, even wondering if it was a sign of failure. But I do not look at you with eyes of condemnation. I see you through the eyes of mercy. I know you've been trying. I know you've cried out for help. And now I come, not only as your rescuer, but as your good Father, to provide for you with abundance and glory. I am Jehovah Jireh, your provider. I do not merely cancel material debt. I also heal the emotional wounds that come with it, the inferiority, the shame, the lingering anxiety. I am opening a river where there was no water. I am paving a path where none could be seen. Resources that once seemed out of reach, I will cause them to become accessible to you. Financial doors that were slammed shut, I will open. Past rejections, I will overturn. You will see that my provision is not just for enough, but for overflow. You will no longer live tightening your belt for fear of lack, but with joyful gratitude for gifts that flow from a source that never runs dry. And my child, I have seen your tears over broken relationships. I saw how you tried to hold on to something that had already crumbled. I heard your prayers for forgiveness. I felt your longing for a miracle that might piece back together what was torn apart by time, hurt, and misunderstanding. I did not ignore your quiet sobs when you remembered the ones you once loved, who now feel so far away. But know this: I am the God of restoration. I do not merely patch what remains. I rebuild from the ground up. I do not mend only the surface. I restore from the roots, restoring hearts, understanding, humility, true repentance, and real love. I am intervening. I am softening hearts that have grown hard. I am rebuilding bridges that seemed beyond repair. I am shifting perceptions, emotions, and attitudes, not only in you, but even in those who once turned away. Not to bring you low in shame, but so that both you and they may rise together in new love, true forgiveness, and divine compassion that comes from me. I am the one who reconciles families, who mends shattered hearts, who turns weeping into songs of praise, and this I am doing again, and again, and again in your life. All of this, the healing, the provision, the restoration, these are not three separate miracles. They are one symphony, woven together by my own hand, composed uniquely for you. And the only reason I do this is not because you earned it, not because you checked every box to be worthy. I do it because you are my child, because I love you with a love that is unconditional, unceasing, and tireless, a love that exceeds every boundary, every failure, every moment of time. So walk forward with a renewed heart. Believe that what you once thought was closed is now being opened by me. What you once assumed was the end is the very place where I am beginning a new chapter. The things that once bound you, that once suffocated you, that made you think you wouldn't make it, are all dissolving in the brilliance of my presence. Let me be your healer, your provider, your restorer. Don't just know me through theory, know me through living experience. Walk with me through each day, and you will witness me move in real, tangible, and powerful ways. I am never late. I always come on time. And your time, beloved one, is now. There were days when you felt so heavy that it seemed you had no breath left within you. Times when it felt like everything around you was collapsing, like your soul itself was silently shattering. And as if no one remembered you, no one heard your cries in the night. But I was there. Even in that seemingly bottomless pit, I remained beside you. And today you will come to know this. What the enemy meant to use for your destruction will become the very foundation upon which I will reveal my glory through you. The enemy of your soul rejoiced too soon. It celebrated prematurely, believing you had fallen and could never rise again. It bet on your pain, on the long-lasting fatigue clouding your mind, on the wounds still unhealed in your heart. It threw every scheme at you, lies, fear, condemnation, and the crippling weight of failure, hoping you would give up, hoping your faith would collapse, hoping you would no longer have the strength to lift your head. But what it never expected was the resurrection power I placed inside you. A strength not from man, but from me, the one who called life out of death, who rolled away the stone and caused life to rise from ashes. It cannot comprehend that when I speak a word, even hell must fall silent. When I declare life, every chain must break. No grave, no matter how deep, can hold back a soul whose name I have called. No wall, no matter how thick, can stop me from stepping in and pulling you out of the darkest places. I do not fear the darkness. I am not hindered by death. I am eternal life, and I have placed that very life within you, a life that cannot be suffocated, cannot be buried. You thought it was over. You believed your losses marked the end. But I say to you, it was not the end. It was the beginning, the place where miracles are born. The moment I lift the veil to a new chapter, a chapter of restoration, of victory, of life that surpasses human understanding. What has been broken, I will make new. What seemed like dead dreams, I will breathe into again. I do not rebuild upon the old. I make all things entirely new. And right there in your ruins, I will raise something never seen before, a glorious work, a living testimony to my power. The enemy underestimated you because it never saw you through my loving eyes. It saw someone broken. I saw someone being formed. It saw a defeated soul. I saw a warrior being trained in the fire of affliction. It saw ashes. I saw a flame about to ignite brighter than ever before. For you do not rise by your own will, but by the grace I pour upon you. And when my grace flows, nothing can stop it. Remember this, my resurrection power is not just for the final day. It is for today, right now, in the very moment that feels like it's too late. Resurrection does not begin in a graveyard. It begins in a heart willing to believe that I can, and you believed. Even if it was only a faint flicker of hope, it was enough to move me. I saw that tiny seed of faith, and from it I stirred a storm of new life. My beloved, I never promised you would never fall, but I did promise that every time you fall, I will be there to lift you up. I never said there would be no tears, but I did promise to wipe away each one and turn them into seeds for a harvest of praise. I never claimed you would not face sorrow, but I guaranteed that no pain you endure will be wasted, for I will transform what the enemy used to destroy you into a tool that brings you closer to the divine destiny I have prepared. Now, I am calling you to step out of the grave of fear. Step out of the garments of mourning woven by disappointment. Step out of the place where shame once caused you to hide. You no longer belong there. I have awakened you. I have called you forth, and no power can drag you back into what once held you captive. You are resurrected. You carry within you the imprint of resurrection. You were created to walk in the light, not to live in the silence of a buried past. Rise up, not with trembling hands, but with steadfast steps, not with a heart still wounded, but with a soul mended by my unconditional love. You are no longer a mere survivor. You are a victor. Not because you avoided the battle, but because you went through it with me and emerged crowned in glory. You will go out and proclaim, I was once in the deepest place, and it was there that he found me. You will tell of the one who never left you, the one who lifted you from the pit, the one who refused to let your story end in darkness. All who see you will recognize that it was not your strength that saved you, but that I in you was too strong to fail. My beloved, resurrection is not merely an event, it is a living truth, and you are now walking in that truth. Do not look back at the place where you once fell. Look ahead to where I am waiting for you with open arms. Every step you take from this moment forward will be a step of triumph, not by your might, but by the one who raised you from a place no one expected. I am the one who speaks, and no power can silence me. I am the one who ordains, and no force can cancel the plans I have written over your life. Your story is not over. It is only just beginning, with a brand new chapter written in light, authored by my own hand. And you, my beloved one, will be the living proof before heaven and earth that resurrection power is still alive, still moving, and still rewriting destinies. Oh, my dear child, let your heart be immersed in this divine truth, for it is no longer a distant promise. It is a living operation unfolding in your very life. The same supernatural power that raised my beloved Son, the one who died for all humanity, from the depths of death, that same power, that same Holy Spirit is not at work within your soul. This is not imagination. This is not empty console. This is the holy reality that is transforming you from the inside out. It is the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of life, the one not bound by time or space, who is performing a miraculous work of restoration within you. He is gently, silently, yet powerfully breathing life into the things within you that you had quietly declared as dead. Perhaps it was a dream you once cherished, but buried in the depths of your soul after countless disappointments. Perhaps it was a faith that once burned bright, but dimmed over time amidst drought and hardship, leaving only the cold ashes of what once was. Perhaps it was a love, a hope, a calling, or even your truest self, that you once denied because you believed it was no longer possible. But now, my child, look again through the eyes of faith. Something is stirring within you, a new breath, a spark of life rising from the very place you once thought was withered and dry. It is not the result of your own effort, but the work of the Holy Spirit. He has not come to judge or to remind you of past mistakes. He has come to heal, to renew, to restore, and to transform. He does not ask whether you still have enough strength. He does not demand perfection before he begins. He moves because of boundless mercy, because of the unwavering love I have had for you since before time began. Tonight, in what seems to be a silent atmosphere, the heavens are trembling with unspeakable joy. Not because of a military triumph, nor due to a grand success in the eyes of the world, but because something sacred is taking place. You are being restored. A soul is being renewed. A broken heart is being healed. A life that once seemed buried by the weight of the world is being lifted from the ashes and clothed in a garment of new life. That is why heaven sings. That is why the angels rejoice with clapping hands and radiant praise. My mighty hand is not limited by the barrenness of your heart. It does not tremble at the depth of your wounds. It does not flinch when it touches the old scars you've learned to hide. That very hand, which painted the stars in the sky, which set boundaries for the oceans, which fashioned you in perfect detail, is now moving to rebuild your life once again, not hurriedly, not halfway, but gently, deeply, lovingly, and with certainty. Pause for a moment in the rush of life and feel. Feel the new rhythm rising from within. It is the gentle whisper of the Holy Spirit saying, I am still here. I have never left you. I am doing something new. Can you hear it? That whisper echoes through every cell of your being, through every breath, through the smallest of movements, and if you allow your heart to open, you will sense it. Layers of sorrow being lifted, ancient fears dissolving in new light. Things once buried in forgetfulness are rising, not to haunt, but to be healed, to be transformed, and to be used for a greater purpose. Beloved, remember this. When I resurrect something, it does not return as it was. It returns better, stronger, more beautiful. For what has passed through sorrow, when restored in me, carries the glory of triumph. It is no longer a symbol of failure. but a testimony of redeeming power. And you, who are rising from the ruins, will not merely be a survivor, but one who is sent out, carrying the living flame of the Holy Spirit to ignite hope in those still sitting in their own darkness. I know you've had your doubts. I know there were moments when you thought, maybe I've gone too far. But let me assure you, there is no path so distant that I cannot find you, no wound so deep that I cannot heal, no fragment so small that I cannot gather and make whole. With my hand all things are reborn. With my breath life is imparted. With my love you are called home and raised once more, not with patchwork pieces but in a new form, free, fearless, and filled with light. Let tonight be a milestone in your sacred journey, not just a fleeting moment, but the beginning of a new life. From this point forward, you will walk in the deep awareness that the Spirit of the Risen One lives in you, moves through you, and walks beside you. You are no longer who you once were. You are a creation renewed by the hand of the Creator, and no accusation from your past can touch you. No whisper of failure can threaten you, for I have called you, beloved, chosen, resurrected. Engrave this truth upon your heart as a divine decree from heaven. The life I have given you is not a fleeting existence, but a life of fullness. This life cannot be stolen, interrupted, or buried. And you shall live, not merely to survive, but to display my glory, to be a light in a darkened world, and to become the answer for those who are desperately searching for a miracle. You are not lost, you are being led back. You are not a remnant of ruin. You are a glorious restoration. You are not a victim. You are a carrier of victory in your very being. And this, my beloved, is what causes heaven to rejoice. For once again my power is being revealed in its fullness through your life. My precious child, you now stand at a sacred moment that must not be taken lightly. A divine turning point that was ordained from eternity past. I call it your appointed moment of holy reversal. This is not a fleeting change, nor the result of self-effort, but a loving, powerful, and intentional intervention of mine right into the midst of what seemed like a dead end in your life. I have watched you through every weary step, every long night of exhaustion, every silent disappointment, and I say to you, everything that has happened was never the end, but the foundation for a radiant transformation greater than anything you've known before. You have fallen into deep pits, places where no light remained, where even the echo of your prayers faded into silence. But it was there that I remembered every cry from your soul. From that pit that seemed inescapable, I will lift you up and set your feet upon a place of glory. What others perceived as your dead end, I have already chosen as the groundwork for something entirely new. The very pit that once swallowed your faith will now become the place where others look up and see my glory reflected through your life. For this is my nature. I raise up what is lowly. I turn ashes into crowns, and I transform the abyss into the birthplace of miracles. And when you walked through the valley of darkness, where only sighs remained and the quiet shadows of pain followed closely behind, you thought it was the final stretch. But my child, it was I who orchestrated that path, not to bury you, but to lead you to the mountaintop of divine revelation. That valley was the place where I shaped your heart, where I removed burdens that were never yours to carry, where I softened your spirit to be ready for an elevation unlike any before. The summit I have prepared for you cannot be reached on a smooth road. Your feet are scarred and calloused. but it is these very steps that will lead you to heights you never dared to dream of. And when you look back, you will know it was I who led you every step of the way, even when you did not see it. The pain you once avoided, resented, and tried desperately to forget will no longer be a mark of weakness. I am touching it, transforming it, redefining it. That pain, once surrendered into my hands, will become supernatural power, not the kind that comes from position or prestige, but an inward strength forged in the fire of affliction and made steadfast in my love. It was in your weakness that you learned to depend on me. And when you no longer leaned on yourself, my power was made perfect in you. You will not only be healed, but you will carry the healing balm for other wounded souls, just as you were once wounded. What was stolen from you, joy, peace, relationships, opportunities, years that seemed wasted, will not merely be returned. No, I do not repay according to human measure. I am the God of abundance. What was lost will be restored with multiplied reward. For I do not only restore, I increase. I do not simply repay, I lavish with blessings. When the enemy thought he had won, he did not realize that I was preparing a harvest far greater than anything you've ever lost. The seeds you have sown in tears, in quiet faithfulness, in painful obedience, are now beginning to yield a great harvest that no one can stop. What once grew beneath the soil of sorrow is now breaking through with radiant promise. The hands that once trembled in the dark have become the very hands that reap joy in the light. And those who once looked upon you with pity, who whispered words of regret behind your back, who believed you would remain forever in failure, they will be astonished. They will be silenced in awe at what I am bringing forth from your very life. Not so that you may seek revenge, but so that they may know there is a true and living God, kind, present, and mighty, one who lifts the lowly, who never abandons, who moves openly and gloriously even in a world thick with doubt. Your life will become a living testimony, a melody of redemption, a book authored by grace, each page a miracle, each line a sacred transformation. My beloved, this is your hour, not because you earned it, but because I have chosen it. Not because you are strong enough, but because my power is sufficient. Not because you are steady, but because I am unshakable. This is the moment when everything that once turned against you shall be overturned. This is the season of divine intervention. This is the hour when all that seemed lost will return to your hands, renewed, radiant, and drenched in blessing. Open your heart to receive. Do not let painful memories cause you to shrink back. Release your grip on the past, for I do not recycle what has decayed. I bring forth what is entirely new. Be ready for the river of new life that is about to surge forth. Expand your mind to walk through the doors I am now opening. Prepare to stand upon a stage you did not build, yet I designed especially for you from the foundations of the world. You will not need to defend the journey you have walked. The outcome I bring forth will speak for itself. The transformation visible in your life will stand as evidence of my limitless power. And when others ask, "How could this be?" you will only need to say, "It is by my God who never abandoned me, who turned what looked like an ending into the beginning of something great." You walked by faith when there was no visible assurance. You kept your heart aligned when everything around you was distorted. You chose patience when your soul cried out to give up. You chose trust when every sight before your eyes urged you to surrender. And I, the one who never overlooks your faithfulness, will pour out upon those seemingly lost years a reward no eye has seen, no heart has imagined, no mind has dared to dream. You will not pass through this night with empty hands. You will not exit this difficult season with a wounded heart. I will not allow your faithfulness to be in vain. You have not walked a fruitless path. Even when you could not see it, I was working. Even when you felt forgotten, I was attending to every detail. For you are not merely a survivor of the storm. You are a victor refined by fire, and I have prepared a harvest into which only you are qualified to enter, because you did not abandon your post, you did not curse my name, you did not trade your calling for momentary comfort. What you carry out of this season is not ashes, but precious stones, not fragments of the past, but trophies of restoration. I used pain to forge endurance, silence to teach you how to hear, and lack to show you that I alone am your source. And now, as this new season unfolds, I do not merely offer you peace. I offer fullness, not the artificial fullness the world tries to offer, but divine abundance, where your soul is filled, where you no longer live in the shadow of lack, but in the fullness of my grace. My child, I have never promised that you will always have everything you want, but I have promised this: you will never lack what you truly need. My goodness does not arrive once and then withdraw. It will pursue you all the days of your life, not only when you feel strong, but even in your moments of weakness. Not only when you do what is right, but even in the times when you stumble. My goodness will not abandon you. It follows behind you like a loyal shadow. It walks ahead of you as a lamp to your path, and it stays beside you like a friend who never leaves. And I speak this so it may be engraved in your heart as an eternal seal. You are not merely stepping out of an old season, you are stepping into an entirely new era. An era not defined by what you once lost, but by what I am about to pour into your life. You have lived through a season of sowing in tears. Now it is time for you to reap in joy. You have endured a season of inner conflict. Now you will dwell in peace that surpasses understanding. You have longed for change. Now you shall become that very change in the lives of others. Prepare your heart to receive. Do not shrink your expectations because of what happened in the past. I do not operate according to old wounds. I move according to the blueprint I wrote about you before you were formed in your mother's womb. Do not let the memory of failure cause you to reject the miracle. Do not let the silence of past waiting keep you from stepping through the door that is now open. I am doing a new thing, and it is unlike anything you've ever known. Enlarge the tent of your heart. Make room for blessing. Create space for me to fill. I have not come to patch up the old. I have come to transform the entire system of your life. From how you think, how you feel, how you walk, to how you love, how you believe, and how you pray. Everything will be made new. You will begin to see others through my eyes. You will love this life with the heart I've placed within you. You will speak words that bring life, and through you I will heal those who are suffering the very things you once endured. You will give words that bring life, and through you I will heal those who are suffering the very things you once. You are no longer the one who walks in darkness without direction. My light has risen upon you. The promises that were once scattered like the wind are now blooming. The seeds you thought had decayed have sprouted. My child, This is no longer a distant promise. This is reality. This is the time when I redeem the years that were devoured. This is the moment when the reward is placed into your hands, not to keep for yourself, but to share as one who has been rescued. Do not fear stepping into the new. Do not look back. Behind you is darkness. Before you is light. Behind you is hollow laughter. Before you is a song of praise flowing from genuine gratitude. I am inviting you into what no eye has seen, and if you dare to believe, if you dare to step forward, you will witness my hand move in a way that no one can deny. I have not forgotten you, and I will never forget. The years behind were not wasted. They were the soil being tilled for the new season to flourish, and that season is now. My precious child, now that you are walking deeper into this divine turning point, I urge you with all my heart, do not waver. Do not let what you see with your natural eyes rob you of your spiritual vision. Do not let the whispers from the shadows blur the voice that once echoed clearly in your soul. Even if the winds blow strong, even if the storm lingers, do not let your soul be shaken. Stand firm like a tree rooted deep in the soil of grace, for the moment you have waited for is no longer a distant hope. It has arrived. It is here. It is rising all around you. Hold tightly to the promise I have placed within your heart, a promise not born of man, not bound by time, and not subject to the shifting winds of circumstance. My word is an unshakable foundation, a lamp that shines in the darkest night, a river that flows through the barren desert. You do not need to understand everything to believe. You only need to trust that I do not speak in vain. Every word I have declared is living and full of. Every promise is a sacred covenant, and I, the faithful one, will personally bring it to fulfillment. Do not let your faith be strangled by temporary silence. Do not measure my faithfulness by the ticking of human clocks. I am never late. I am never absent. I am at work, and what you cannot yet see does not mean it is not real. I am building wonders upon foundations that seem invisible. Let your faith rise like a mighty wave that crushes every doubt. Let your trust in me be greater than your fear of the unknown, for the miracle you have longed for is no longer merely on the way. It is here. It is already moving around you, within you, and will soon be revealed in your life so clearly that no one will be able to deny it. The doors that once slammed shut before you, those you knocked on until your hands bled, those that seemed sealed forever, they are now opening. Not by your strength or your cleverness, but because my key has turned the lock of time. I have cleared the path. I have commanded even the most stubborn doors to swing wide, and no one, no force, can close what I have opened. The walls that once seemed impenetrable, built over years of doubt, fortified by the lies of the enemy, reinforced by the fear that piled up through many dark seasons, are now crumbling, not with a loud crash or explosive force, but by my authority, seeping in like gentle rain that wears away stone. I do not need to make a spectacle to act. When I bring down walls, they do not just crack on the outside, they dissolve from within, and once they fall, they cannot be rebuilt by human hands. The heavens are opening. Lift your eyes and see with the eyes of your spirit, for what you have prayed for is falling like the early rains of spring. I am pouring out blessings that surpass your understanding, that exceed your expectations, that go beyond even the prayers you whispered in hesitant faith. The outpouring of heaven is no longer withheld. The sacred rivers are rushing forth, carrying grace, healing, renewal, deliverance, and a measureless abundance. And the ground, the very ground beneath your feet, the ground you thought was barren and empty, is responding. The seeds you have sown in tears, in faithful steps, in prayers spoken in solitude, are breaking through the earth. Life is emerging, quietly but steadily. Do not measure the harvest by speed. Measure it by the depth of the roots. And your roots of faith have grown deep enough to withstand every storm. Now is the time when you will begin to see what I have been nurturing all these hidden seasons. I know there were moments when you lifted your eyes to the sky and asked, Lord, where is the sign? When will the miracle come? Where are you in all that I've had to endure? You were looking for something unmistakable. A sea split in two, fire from the heavens, a thunderous voice shaking the earth. But, beloved, some miracles do not come in the storm. They come in the still breeze. Some signs do not blaze with dazzling light, but arrive as the quiet dawn illuminating the dark corners of the soul. I have been moving around you in ways your eyes have yet to perceive. I have whispered into your heart during moments that seemed meaningless. I have rearranged circumstances, redirected the course of your life, mended invisible tears, and placed you precisely where you belong, within the grand design I myself have orchestrated. And I have not delayed. Everything has arrived in its appointed time. Everything is falling perfectly into place. My child, today I invite you to quiet your soul and look again. Count every small detail that once seemed like mere coincidence, and you will see my fingerprints upon each one. From the unexpected meeting to the encouraging word of a stranger, from the gentle stirring in your spirit to the door that quietly opened without force. These are me. These are the signs. These are the very miracles you once prayed for. I do not arrive with noise. I come with certainty, with a power that does not need to boast. So open your heart to recognize the greatness that surrounds you. Let your faith no longer flicker as a fragile flame, but rise and shine as a lamp illuminating the land. Live as one who knows you are standing in the middle of a miracle, not one that is coming, but one that is already unfolding. Do not let familiarity deceive you into believing nothing new is happening. I am making all things new, and if you are still enough to hear, deep enough to feel, and courageous enough to keep believing, you will behold what no eye has ever seen. Do not doubt any longer, my beloved. This is your moment. This is the time when faith turns into fulfillment. This is the season of expansion, and I, the one who never changes, go before you, move on your behalf, and dwell within you. The miracle is no longer a distant promise. It is alive in every breath you take. Walk forward, not as one who is waiting, but as one already living in the manifestation. You have pleaded desperately for a sign, lifting your eyes in hopes that the heavens would split, longing for a divine earthquake, hoping something would explode across the skies, upending the natural order, and proving beyond question that I am at work. You waited for the ground beneath you to tremble, to affirm my mighty presence. But, my child, I have chosen to come not through violent shaking, but through gentle peace. I do not make spectacles. I do not need to perform. I am the God of the deep, the God of the quiet places, that only hearts trained to listen can discern. I entered your life like a breeze at dawn. I came into your room while you lay weary upon your bed. I was there when you poured a glass of water, when you opened a window, when you stepped out to catch the last light of day, not realizing it was I, sending you a tender touch in the midst of a stormy season. You waited for a thunderous voice to move the mountains, but I whispered to your soul with a voice of peace, with a nameless warmth that brought tears to your eyes without your knowing why. You searched for the miracle as something distant and dazzling, but my child, the truth is this: you have been living in the miracle all along. Each time your heart beats, each time you take a deep breath and choose to go on, each time you stand again in the aftermath of brokenness, that is the evidence that I am at work. Every day you open your eyes, even with confusion still in your heart, yet keep moving forward. That is proof that I am upholding you. You did not recognize it because you expected the miracle to be unusual, grand, and spectacular, but I brought it to you clothed in simplicity. A friend, calling at just the right moment, the kindness of a stranger, or even the faintest flicker of hope when you stood at the edge of despair. You once thought I would come in blazing fire like on Mount Horeb, or with thunderous voice as on the plains of Sinai. But my dear child, I do not always choose such ways. Many times I choose to come in forms so ordinary that you barely notice. I hide myself in the rhythm of daily life, cloaked in the familiarity of the mundane. A mother's gaze, a child's smile, a moment of stillness as the sunset paints the sky. These are reflections of me. They are gentle reminders that I am still here, still working, still loving you. You have unknowingly missed many miracles, not because they did not happen, but because they did not appear the way you expected. You waited for great doors to swing open without realizing I had quietly unlatched every small window to let the light slip in. You sought a booming voice from heaven, not perceiving that the quiet murmur of your conscience was where I was speaking. You longed for dramatic turning points, but did not recognize that the very fact you are still standing, still hoping, still willing to continue, that alone is a miracle greater than any event. And, my child, I do not fault you for this. I understand. For human eyes grow weary in waiting, and the heart grows fragile under the weight of pain. But today I want you to know, not for 1 second have I left you. The moments you thought I was silent were the times I was working most diligently. When it seemed nothing was happening, I was arranging everything with utmost care and wisdom. I am the one who does not slumber, who never forgets. I am always at work, even when you cannot see, cannot understand, or cannot feel it. Now I am opening your eyes to see everything anew. Look again at the road you've walked. Examine the details that once seemed trivial, and you will see it is not that a great miracle is coming, but that the miracle has already been with you, has walked beside you, has preserved you throughout the journey. That miracle is not a single moment. It is the entire process. It is my abiding presence. It is the unseen hand that kept you from falling. It is the whisper I planted in your heart at the exact moment you were ready to give up. It is the life that still flows through you, even when you once believed you had run dry. My beloved child, now I invite you into a new level of awareness, where you no longer need to see in order to believe, but rather believe so that you may see. A place where your faith is no longer dependent on visible miracles, but is anchored in my unchanging faithfulness. A place where your heart opens not only in anticipation of the extraordinary, but in deep appreciation for the ordinary, because I have chosen to dwell in what is humble. Let your eyes be sanctified to see everything differently, so you will not overlook a prayer answered in the form of a peaceful day. So you will not dismiss a seemingly casual conversation that was, in truth, divinely appointed. So you will not deny the comfort that comes in a gentle breeze. So you may recognize that I act not only when the heavens open and the skies resound, but even more so when your heart grows still and knows, I am God. From now on, live with eyes wide open and a heart fully awakened, Know that nothing is too simple or too small for me to be present within it. Believe that every day holds value, even when it brings no dramatic change, no bright spectacle. It still carries within it the miracle of life, the gift of protection, and the depth of love I have for you. Because the greatest miracle is not a single moment that shakes the world, but the enduring love I pour out upon you, day by day, hour by hour, breath by breath. And that, my child, is still happening, right now, in the very breath you are taking, in the beating of your heart, in these very words I write to you, as evidence that I am still here, still working, still loving. And I will never stop loving you. Now I want to lift the veil that has clouded your vision, so that you may see more clearly what I have done in your life. Not in some distant future, but right here in the present moment where you are living, breathing, and walking each day. You have, unknowingly, walked right through wonders without recognizing them, because your mind was preoccupied with the grand and the glorious, while my heart chose to work in quietness. You have walked among countless miracles, but because they did not shout, did not shine, you assumed they did not exist. Do you remember those days when you thought you had reached your limit? Those mornings when you didn't want to open your eyes? Those nights when sleep evaded you? There were times you whispered, "I don't think I can go on." And yet something gentle, unnamed, lifted you up and carried you forward. That was not coincidence. That was not your own willpower. That was my power quietly sustaining you. It was I, the one who dwells within you, breathing life into dry places, strengthening your weary feet, and reminding you that you were never walking alone. Every time a situation turned around unexpectedly, when everything seemed to be falling apart but somehow fell into place, when you felt stuck but a door opened, that wasn't luck, nor was it human cleverness. It was my hand at work. I was orchestrating everything, moving the pieces in ways you didn't foresee, but always according to the loving plan I had designed for you. I stood behind doors, gently nudging them open, so that by the time you arrived, everything was already prepared. Without your striving, without your frantic searching for a way. You didn't realize that even the steady, sufficient provision you received each day, not so much that it would make you proud, and not so little that it would make you despair, was itself a miracle. Enduring, constant, and more real than any dramatic sign, it was the unwavering faithfulness of mine. Every meal you've had, every bill that got paid, every help that arrived just in time, all of it was a quiet whisper that I am still here, still caring, still providing, still watching over every step you take. And I know why you did not see it, because there is an enemy who has worked tirelessly to blur your vision. He cannot steal the grace I've given, but he can try to make you doubt it. He plants questions in your heart. Is God really doing anything? Why isn't anything extraordinary happening? Why is everything so ordinary, so repetitive? And in those questions, subtle doubt begins to creep in. The enemy wants you to believe that unless seas part and mountains move, I must be absent. But my beloved, that is a dangerous lie. For I am the one who can do all things, but I do not need to make a spectacle to act. I choose to stay with you in the small things. I choose to reveal myself in the ordinary, so you can learn to love and trust me not only in mountaintop moments, but also in the quiet valleys. I am not just the God of the spectacular. I am the God of steady breaths, of silent steps, of the inner healings that come without noise. When you expected shaking, I chose stillness so you could learn to recognize me, not with your physical senses, but with your spirit. When you waited for something dazzling to count as a miracle, I chose to be found in the morning mist, in the song of birds, in the comfort of peace that settles quietly amid daily chaos. You have lived within the covering of the mystery I created, but because it came so gently, so familiarly, you mistook it for nature, for chance. But my child, in me nothing is ever just normal. The greatest miracle is not when the whirlwind ceases or when the sea parts before your eyes. It is when your heart still beats with fullness in a world filled with brokenness. A miracle is not merely an external intervention that changes your circumstances. It is the quiet transformation within that changes you. And that, my beloved, is what I have done. It is what I am still doing. So today, I invite you to look again, with new eyes. Look back on the path you've traveled. Count the small things you once overlooked. Remember the times you nearly collapsed, but somehow stood firm. Reflect on the unexpected opportunities, the people who showed up at just the right moment, the words that touched your soul without warning. None of these were random. They are living evidence of the miracles I have poured out, am pouring out, and will continue to pour out. And when you begin to see this, your eyes will open wider than ever before. You will see that I am not just the one who moved in the stories of Scripture. I am the one still alive and active in your life. You will begin to walk through each day with a deep awareness that you are not alone, that my presence is not reserved for moments labeled sacred, but is always with you. In the kitchen, on the streets, at your desk, and in that quiet room where your tears once fell. You will begin to live with a gratitude so deep, not because everything is perfect, but because you now know that in every small thing I have been with you. And this very gratitude will ignite a new faith. It will become the key that opens even more doors, for I give more to those who can see miracles, even without fireworks, even when no angels appear. My child, do not wait for another spectacular sign to start believing that I am at work. Believe because you are alive. Believe because you are still walking. Believe because every detail of your life, from the morning smile to the final breath before sleep, bears my fingerprint. A miracle doesn't have to be dazzling. It only has to be real. This is the season in which I am moving powerfully amidst the things that seem most chaotic. In the clamor of the world, in the unrest of the human mind, I am doing something profound and unshakable. Know this, I am working in my greatest power, not to impress, but to restore, not to repeat, but to create anew. I am lifting the souls that were once cast down, extending my hand to those imprisoned by despair and wounds, the ones who were forgotten, underestimated, bound by pain, shame, and rejection. They will behold the light of my presence shining through, dissolving invisible chains and releasing the captive spirit. I am the one who unlocks prison doors, the one who bandages crushed hearts, and the one who restores what you thought was lost forever. The shattered pieces of your life, the memories you thought were buried under dust, I am gathering them now and crafting something new through my unfading love. What the enemy once plotted to destroy you, the hidden schemes, the whispers of deceit that wore down your faith, the wounds that lingered and seemed like coincidence, they will hold no more power. I am turning evil into good, transforming traps into stepping stones. These very things will become the radiant testimony that my resurrection power is not limited by darkness or circumstance. The enemy meant for your pain to be your undoing, but I am using that very pain to forge you into someone stronger, deeper, and more intimately connected to my presence. What you once believed to be impossible, the door that had long been shut, the dream that had faded with time, the circumstance that seemed unchangeable, is now being transformed by me from the very root. I do not simply make things better. I make all things entirely new. The limitations that once hindered you are being shattered. Pathways that once seemed hopelessly blocked are being cleared. Hearts that had grown cold are being softened under the heat of my spirit. For my spirit is moving without delay, without limits, without hindrance. Imagine a river that cannot be stopped, flowing through rocks, through deserts, through barren lands, bringing life, healing, and renewal. That is how my power is flowing now, like a river that surges without end, and my spirit is covering you with a force that surpasses human language. This is not a fleeting visitation. This is an abiding presence. This is the moment when I do not merely reach out to touch you, but desire to walk with you more deeply each day. I do not come just to soothe you momentarily. I come to transform you permanently. Therefore, my child, do not remain still. Do not stay silent while the heavens are open and while I am leaning in to hear your every sigh, every whispered prayer. Open your mouth and pray. Do not underestimate the authority I have placed upon your tongue. In weakness, I bestow authority. In the silence of this world, I place the fire of heaven upon your lips. Every word you speak in faith does not vanish into the void. It reverberates through the heavens and shakes the earth. I have given you not just forgiveness but power to declare and to establish what I have spoken. When you proclaim my word, not from emotion, but from faith, it shall come to pass. Remember, my word upon your lips carries the same authority as when it comes forth from mine. Not because you are worthy, but because I have chosen to place that authority in the hands of the one who believes in me. So be bold in your confession. Draw the sword from its sheath and speak aloud what you have long held within. Declare life over what has died. Proclaim light where there is still darkness. Speak restoration into what has been broken. For your lips are not merely instruments of lament, but gateways of victory. Every word you speak from faith initiates a response in the spiritual realm. Walls will crumble. Chains will break. Kingdoms of darkness will tremble when a righteous one begins to pray. Bind the works of darkness. Name the lies, the attacks, the deceptions that have encircled your thoughts and emotions, and renounce them boldly with heavenly authority. When you declare truth, every lie dissipates like morning mist under the rising sun. When you say no to the enemy, you are not speaking from a place of weakness, but from the position of one redeemed by the holy blood. Call forth the promises I have spoken. They are not wishful dreams. They are your spiritual inheritance, your rightful possession. Remind me of what I have said, not because I forget, but because you need to remember. And in that act of calling forth, the promise will be activated. The seed will break open. Heaven will answer. You will see the rain of blessing, not in some distant future, but beginning now, in the very prayer you lift today. O my child, do not live passively when I am calling you to partner with me. Do not merely wait for what is to come without being willing to declare it forth. I have placed within you the power to break through. I have placed upon your lips the sword of the Spirit. I have kindled within your heart the flame of life. Now is the time to use what I have given you, not just to defend, but to advance. Not merely to preserve, but to take possession. I have entrusted to you a spiritual weapon, a power no one can deny, and in this very moment, I am inviting you to wield it like never before. I have given you authority in your tongue, not so you may hold it back in fear, but that you may act boldly, courageously, and drive out the darkness. Do not remain silent when I have given you a voice that carries the authority of heaven. Do not let fear or a sense of unworthiness bind you in prolonged silence, for that very silence is the trap the enemy longs for you to fall into. It knows that as long as your lips are sealed, the power I have planted in you cannot be released. But when you open your mouth, something begins to shift, not only in the natural realm, but also in the spiritual. My child, every prayer you raise from the depths of your heart never vanishes into emptiness. They do not slip away into the void, nor are they lost in the noise of the world. They reach my throne. They shake the heavens. They stir the angels, and they unleash interventions from on high. Every sincere prayer, whether whispered or wept, carries the power to tip the scales in a spiritual battle. And when you call upon my name, the name above every name, the name that drives out demons, heals diseases, shatters chains, and opens what has never been opened, angels are dispatched. They do not hesitate. They do not delay. When your words unite with faith, and you cry out in my name, my heavenly hosts are sent forth at my command. There are angels who have waited long just for the sound of your call. Do not let them wait any longer. Do not let heaven's power remain restrained simply because you stayed silent. And when you declare my word, the living word, the unchanging word, the word that created the universe and still operates in perfect power, the enemy has no choice but to flee. It cannot stand against the truth. It trembles at my name and disintegrates at the sound of my word spoken through a believing heart. Remember, the enemy does not fear your emotions. It does not shudder at your worries, but it is terrified when you speak my word, because every syllable is like a blazing arrow released from heaven's arsenal. My child, do not underestimate the strength contained in words that are spoken from a... When you speak in alignment with truth, with faith, with a heart fully yielded, you are not merely giving yourself comfort. You are proclaiming decrees from the throne of the King of Kings. These declarations create the pathway for my hand to move. They open spiritual spaces for my will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. If you feel your life surrounded, if you see my promises still unfulfilled, if the heavens seem closed, do not simply sit and wait for something to shift on its own. Open your mouth, begin to speak life, proclaim the truth I've inscribed upon your heart. Repeat the promises I have given. Call them forth in faith. Speak what is not as though it were. For that is what I have done since the beginning of time. You do not need to wait for the right feeling to speak my word. You only need to obey. For obedience opens the heavens, and declarations made in faith silence the voice of accusation. When you speak what is right, you are not merely altering the present, you are shaping the future. You are establishing a spiritual legacy for yourself and for those you love. Do not hesitate. Do not delay. Every moment you remain silent is a moment the enemy advances. But every word you declare is an arrow piercing the darkness, a torch lighting the way in the fog. Speak that you are free even when you feel imprisoned. Declare that you are healed even while your body is still in pain. Proclaim your victory, even in the midst of battle, not because you are deceiving yourself, but because you are choosing to believe in what your eyes cannot yet see, but your spirit knows to be true. That is faith. And faith is the door through which miracles enter. My child, if you only knew what unfolds in heaven every time you pray, you would never cease to pray. If you could see the angels dispatched at once, see your declarations breaking chains in the unseen realm, see the soldiers of darkness tremble and flee, you would never again underestimate the power of your voice. Therefore, beloved, now is the time to rise as a warrior, not with sword or spear, but with proclamation, not with earthly weapons, but with divine truth. You do not need to shout to be heard. You only need to speak the words I have spoken. Each of those words carries heavenly weight. Each of those words bears the power to reshape destiny. I did not place a voice in you for it to remain silent. I placed it in you to be an instrument that stirs life. Use it to call forth what is good and true. Use it to speak to the mountain, not just about the mountain. Use it to declare healing, freedom, restoration, and righteousness. Those very things I have promised will come. Do not let the enemy steal your spiritual voice. Do not let your past extinguish the fire upon your lips. Do not let weariness silence what I have placed within your heart. For it is through your mouth that I will act. It is through your voice that doors will open. It is through your prayers that an entire generation will be transformed. Now, lift to me your sincere prayer. Heavenly Father, tonight I come before you with a heart full of expectation and overflowing with faith. I open my soul wide to receive the miracle you have promised to release. Open my eyes, Lord, to see your hand at work, and open my heart to believe that what seems impossible is being made possible by your power. I declare that tonight is not like every other night. It is a night of transformation, a night of reversal, a night where your promises become reality in my life. O Jehovah, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, I surrender entirely under your supreme authority. When you speak, nothing can resist. When you act, no one can prevent it. I do not rely on feelings. I do not rely on timing. I rely on your word, unshakable, flawless, and eternally established. Let my heart be still and trust, for you are fulfilling your divine plan, and your words never return void. Lord, you have seen the tears I've shed in silence. You know every sleepless night I've spent carrying the weight of unspoken burdens. Though I once cried out, "How long more?" Tonight I ask no more, for I now understand. In the waiting, you are shaping my spirit. Through every pain, you are preparing a greater glory for me. Use everything I've been through to magnify your name. I believe that not a single ache is wasted, and this night of darkness is but the prelude to your radiant dawn. Almighty God, I lift my hands in surrender and cry out for deliverance tonight. Break every chain that has bound my soul. Lift every burden I've been carrying. Let every fear that surrounds me be driven out by the power of your perfect love. I am no longer shackled by the past, no longer a slave to anxiety or doubt. Tonight I declare my freedom. Breathe your wind of deliverance upon me now. O Lord my God, my protector and deliverer, rise up tonight against every scheme of the enemy. Let every weapon forged against me be rendered powerless. Let every slander and unjust judgment fall into silence. Turn every plan of destruction into a foundation upon which your glory shall be revealed. I take refuge in the strong tower of your holy name. Lift me above every assault of darkness and keep me steadfast in you. Lord, the one who works both in the great and in the hidden, I thank you for the quiet miracles I once overlooked. Thank you for the breath in my lungs, for the gift of life each morning, and for every unseen danger you've kept me from. Thank you for the peace that surpasses understanding, for the hope that blooms in the midst of despair, and for the fact that I'm still standing. That alone is a miracle. Help me to recognize your presence in the simplest details of everyday life. Jehovah Rapha, the God who heals me, I open my heart to receive your healing tonight, from my body to my spirit, from my emotions to my memories. Let your Holy Spirit touch and restore every broken place. What once seemed dead, revive. What once was shattered, rebuild. What once brought pain, bring comfort. I believe your power is flowing like living water, bringing fresh, complete life into my being. Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides, I step into the new season you have prepared for me. Let me see clearly the doors you are opening, the delays you are removing, and the new paths you are making straight. I believe the season of lack is over, and the season of abundance is beginning. I do not walk alone, for you are leading me into the promised land, where you are my only source and the giver of all that satisfies my soul. I lift this prayer to you in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. If you love the Lord, don't forget to click subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss out on the meaningful and life-giving messages from God. Together we will grow in faith and live a life fully immersed in His love. Amen.